Have you ever had such a doubt why, as society has become wealthier, the poor have become poorer, and in most people's understanding, we all think that the more developed the area is, the more the dividends of the era can be spread to ordinary people, and procrastination. But in fact, the dividends of the era seem to be only grasped by those who are rich, powerful, and have influence. Money also seems to only stay with those wealthy people who don't lack money, and ethics and procrastination. The monthly living expenses of the rich are hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars casually. Spending a large amount of money is just a drop in the bucket for them. But procrastination. But for ordinary people, these might be things they can never have in their lifetime. In this episode, let's talk about why, as the era develops, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Laziness and procrastination. Before discussing this issue, we first need to understand what the underlying principles of economic operation are, and what money really is. Money in a broad sense can be understood as currency, and assets that can be converted into currency. In a narrow sense, money refers to currency. The generally recognized currency is stacks of banknotes. But, in fact, anything that is convenient for circulation can be currency. In ancient times, gold and silver were used as currency, and now virtual currency is popular. And procrastination. Although these things have different forms, they have the most important functions of currency. Currency itself has no value, and its value depends on how many items it can be exchanged for. Assume you are a clothes maker. I buy a piece of your clothes with $100. You then use this $100 to buy 2 boxes of eggs from Kelly, and Kelly uses this $100 to buy an electric fan from John. And you see, this $100 forms a cycle among the three of you. Each person has earned $100, and for the whole society, because of this one flow, there is one more piece of clothing, 2 boxes of eggs, and 1 electric fan. Lazy and procrastination. So money only has value when it is spent, so that a liquidity can be formed and the economy continue to develop. In fact, a country's economy is composed of countless such small flow cases. Money you spend is the next person's income, and the money he spends is the third person's income, and so on in a cycle. Therefore, the faster the speed of currency circulation, the more value will be generated, and the economy of the whole society will be more prosperous. Conversely, if the speed of currency circulation slows down or the efficiency is too low, the economy of the whole market will slow down or even decline. If the process is in this process, if the money supply increases and each unit of currency can be exchanged for fewer items, then prices will rise, which is what we call inflation. Conversely, it is deflation. Inflation, to put it simply, is the depreciation of the labor force of workers. Simply put, a worker spends the labor of 10 hamburgers, but only gets paid enough to buy back 7 hamburgers. When money was first involved, 100 could be exchanged for items worth $100. However, some people, in order to make $100 exchange for more items, inflate the actual value of items. For items of the same value as before, they make them more valuable than before. So many people start to buy them at a higher price and with more money. But in fact, the practical value of the bought items has not changed. What has changed is the use value. The extra premium among them will be taken away by the item owners. That is to say, not only has the labor force of the poor depreciated, but they also have to spend more money to buy premium goods. Most of the goods purchased by the poor are consumer goods, not assets. And procrastination. And the difference between these two is that assets can be exchanged back, while consumer goods cannot. As mentioned before, the value of currency lies in its ability to exchange for other items. However, most items are very difficult to be exchanged back into money. For example, if I sold you the clothes I bought 10 years ago, would you want them? You definitely wouldn't. You see, most consumer goods are like this. Either they are consumed, like food, or even if not consumed, like daily necessities, it is very difficult to exchange them back into currency. But assets are different, and then they can be exchanged back into currency, and even can exchange for more currency during inflation. The simplest example is a house. If you bought a house 20 years ago, you can now exchange it for more money. Similar examples include gold in troubled times, antiques in prosperous times, and equity in excellent companies at SI. Seeing this, we might as well think deeper. That is, who exactly holds these assets? Laziness, procrastination. Oh yes, you guessed it right. They are all in the hands of the rich. So, the money of the rich and the money of the poor are different concepts, and procrastination. And hey, the money of the rich is mainly in the form of assets, and the proportion of cash is not high. Even compared with the assets they own, some luxury consumer goods are just a trifle. And their assets can all be exchanged into currency. But for the poor, most are still in the stage of obtaining remuneration through labor and only have cash in hand. They also need to buy some necessities of life. Can they afford assets? This is the biggest problem for the poor. It is very difficult for the poor to obtain assets in the true sense. For rich people who own assets, it is very different. When inflation comes, the amount of money increases and the price of assets will definitely rise. In this way, the rich can rent or sell assets to obtain more cash. And procrastination, and a more common practice among the rich is to mortgage these assets to obtain low-interest loans, and then buy more assets, thus forming a virtuous circle. In an era of excessive money supply, the rich do experience inflation, but they are happy about it, because they are the beneficiaries. If it is deflation, assets will depreciate, which is what the rich least want to see. And proconomist, this is why current economists and mainstream media all say that inflation is better than deflation. Of procrastination. You have to think about who holds these assets and who the beneficiaries are, and then you can understand why this statement has become mainstream. And procrastination. An seemingly complex thing can be understood much more clearly when understood from the perspective of motivation. But most people are not aware of this point. So it is very easy to be guided by public opinion and brainwashed by consumerism. Just like both the poor and the rich buy luxury goods, but the poor often use their hard-earned monthly salary to buy them, while the rich use the capital they generate to buy them. After the poor buy luxury goods, they do look richer, but they also enter into a debt crisis. Their monthly salary can only be used to repay debts and continue to take loans, using loans to pay off loans and using cards to pay off cards, thus entering into a vicious cycle. So the poor are not only not good at making money, but also good at wasting money. For example, I have seen a young man who doesn't have a particularly strong ability to make money, but has a strong pursuit of cars. And procrastination. With just a few tens of thousands of dollars in savings, he took a loan to buy a car worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. And procrastination. Sometimes he couldn't even afford his child's tuition fees, and even had to rely on online loans to live, making himself heavily indebted. Procrastination. As a result, after buying the car, he couldn't even afford to drive it and often left it at home. Not long after, he couldn't pay off the car loan. His income had serious problems, his cash flow had problems, and he went everywhere to borrow money, resulting in his credit getting worse and worse. Procrastination. Banks either didn't him money or charged terrifyingly high interest rates. Eventually, he couldn't make ends meet and had to sell the car at a low price. And in this way, the car was gone and he still had a debt of more than $10,000. You see, many of the poor's consumption is irrational. And procrastination. They like to buy things then show their status and are used to having face to avoid being looked down upon. That is, sometimes they will pay for their face. But have you ever thought about such a question? Why do they behave like this? In fact, it is the guidance of public opinion and the shaping of values. That is what we often call consumerism brainwashing. And the most direct consequence of consumerism brainwashing is overspending. Greatest harm of overspending is not whether the money can be repaid in the future, but once this lifestyle is accustomed to, it is almost impossible to get out of poverty, let alone become wealthy. Because this lifestyle will leave you with no redundant time, space, and resources. For example, you will know how important a little redundancy is in life. Just like when we go on a trip, we will bring a suitcase. And procrastination. If the suitcase is small or there are too many things to bring, packing is very difficult. You need to compare the shape of each item and adjust their positions. And procrastination. One way of arranging is not suitable. You need to take out all the things and then put them back again. Maybe after many repetitions and experiments, finally the suitcase is stuffed full, and all the things are put in. At this time, we might have a sense of accomplishment, thinking that we are good at using space. And procrastination. Enadu, but in the following travel process, if you want to bring some souvenirs back, you will find that the suitcase may not be able to hold them. And procrastination, if you must put them in, you need to repeat the previous process again, which will consume a lot of energy and time. In the end, those things may be squeezed and damaged. And if a person chooses a lifestyle of overspending, then life will be like that stuffed suitcase. There will be no more extra space. Once overspending for the future becomes a habit, it is a bottomless hole. For example, you borrow money to buy a new mobile phone to improve your life. After 2 months, you basically won't have any cash left in your hand. After getting paid each month, you have to use it to pay off debts. And don't underestimate this 20% borrowing interest rate. It will make the principal and interest owed by a person increase rapidly. If a family member gets sick and needs money, or even some small things, it will affect your monthly expenditure plan. And in order to spend less and do more, some things will be messed up, just like the suitcase stuffed with too many things. Eventually, the things inside will be squeezed and damaged. Even if this time the matter is dealt with, next month it will have to be repeated again. If a person has to weigh every month which debt to pay first among a pile of debts, and how to move around each dollar more effectively, a person will be very tired. As time goes by, a person will get used to looking only at the present and not at some more important things. So if a person has only one income source, and the income is not high, and is also brainwashed by consumerism, buys high premium goods, and has a loan burden, and has no energy to improve himself, how can such a person not be poor? Then many friends may ask, what should we ordinary people do in this situation? First, jump out of the consumerism trap. Firstly, you need to evaluate your own needs and determine which money should be spent and which should not. For example, for a programmer, a computer; for a makeup artist, cosmetics; for a photographer, a camera. And these things are tools for making a living and can earn money. So no matter how expensive they are, they can be earned back. This is a worthy purchase. And procrastination. Also, like some tool courses, they can improve your efficiency and may bring unexpected returns in the future. So this kind of consumption is also worth the money. But if your monthly salary is $3,000 and you insist on buying a bag worth $30,000 and various light luxury goods with little practical use, but a high price you have to pay, this kind of consumption should be avoided as much as possible. And procrastination. Second, try to build passive income channels as much as possible. A simple truth is that we cannot work all our lives. Even people with strong working abilities will get old one day. So for ordinary people, how to build passive income channels? The simplest way is actually to convert our knowledge, skills, and interests into economic value. For example, by creating works such as books, music videos, etc., and selling copyrights or obtaining licensing fees, we can obtain continuous intellectual property income. Third, leave time for thinking for yourself. Living in today's fast-paced era, we are often busy and don't leave ourselves any time for solitude or thinking. When we are constantly troubled by social media news, work, family, etc., and lazy procrastination, we are very likely to lose our direction and not see clearly what we really want and what our set goals are. But if we can leave enough time for thinking, we will understand that many things are society's set goals and requirements for us, or maybe not what we really want. So no matter how busy you are, you should leave time for thinking for yourself to think about what you really want. Only by constantly thinking can we promote our own continuous progress and become better ourselves. I'm Kevin. This video ends here. I hope my sharing can help you improve your self-awareness, upgrade your thinking mode, and meet a better version of yourself.